we know the entire ecosystem in India. We know the right people, we know the problems, we know what wrong can happen after 2 years, right? Also, it's the life cycle, right? Like if only if I exit will a next fund be able to come. So after a point of time, if a Series B or Series C investor has to come, I have to exit. But our conscious effort is to invest in companies which make complete commercial and financial sense, but still come with a positive impact. Having the right kind of team is extremely important. So spend a lot of time on finding that right co-founder or right people who are going to build with you and who are going to stick with you. I didn't have this one thing which I wanted to build on,
Yeah, yeah,
in terms of creating an empire. Now I have that, so I have to
yeah.
make the best of it. First
Absolutely.
is having that idea. Once you have that, then it's all in your hands.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to ask a massive favor of you guys. At the moment, we're putting a big priority on growing our YouTube channel. So if you aren't already subscribed to us there, if you could head over to YouTube, type in the Quest for Success podcast, or just click the link down in the show notes below, head over to our channel and subscribe to us there. You'll get access to all of our video interviews that we do with our guests. And it will do us a massive favor because it will help us grow the show, which means we can get on bigger and better guests for you guys. And with that, back to the episode. All right, welcome back to the Quest for Success podcast. And thanks so much for tuning in once again. Today, we're really looking forward to our conversation because we have on the show today, we have Saloni, who is a venture capitalist from India. And I'm really excited, being in the startup scene myself, really excited to kind of unpack your journey and get some advice from you as well.
Yeah, so I know Saloni for last 3 years, and again, she's one of my classmates. We interviewed many of them, and she's one of my classmates from our OPM course. And Saloni, very much looking forward to having this conversation with you.
Absolutely, the pleasure is mine.
So, Saloni, we need to start with something pretty fundamental, and that
Okay.
is, what does success actually mean to you?
So, for me, I think success is not about, achieving a milestone, having some targets, or just competing with your competition or the world. It's actually, I think, far more simpler and more personal. So, there are a few things which I truly enjoy and, truly it matters to me, like doing some meaningful work and spending time with people whom I really care about, learning something new every day and just showing up with integrity, in life in general. And I think if I'm able to do that, and if I'm able to do it better than what I did yesterday, then it's great. So rather than competing with the world, I think I'm competing with myself as to how Saloni was 1 week before, 1 month before, 1 year before. And if she's growing, if she's more grounded, if she's more effective, more humble, then she's successful.
Continuous
Otherwise,
improvement. I like that.
Yeah, I like it too. Yeah.
And I suppose for us to understand the woman who's sitting in front of us today, we need to kind of go back to the early days and understand how you were shaped as from the younger years. Can you take
yeah.
us back to your childhood and how you think that kind of shaped who you are today?
So I was born in Karnataka, which is in a very small tier 3 town in India, because that's where my nani is what we call in Hindi. She's my mother's mother, so my granny in that sense. She was from there, so I was born there. But I've been raised up in Mumbai throughout. Born in a very very humble family. Not that we don't come from a family of generational wealth. So we've all my father has started from scratch. My grandfather started from scratch. So that way, we come from a very humble family, but definitely very rich in values. So we've been also driven a lot because of the principles of Jainism, which my grandparents and great grandparents followed. And it is a lot about honesty, truth. So I think that's how we've been brought up. My early childhood, I think I've spent a lot of time, honestly, with my parents. I was more of a family person than a friends person. And I've I've gone every weekends with them on dinner, shopping, vacation. So a lot of my personality is them in many ways, is how I like to believe. And from the child, I was this person who was a big dreamer. Like, I used to, and my therapy or my meditation honestly would be just lock the room, play music, and just imagine a situation and just walk through that entire scenario. And it could be any, it could be a romantic situation, it could be a situation where I'm really successful, it could be any random thing. And it just used to bring me joy. And I think off late I've reduced doing that, but as a child, as a teenager, I was that kind of person. And I think that came a lot from my father. Even he talks like things which are not easy to achieve, and now when we look back and see, oh, he said this, and now after 20 years it has happened in our life. So that personality completely is what I believe comes from him. But on the same hand, I am extremely structured in my thought process. Like, I think step by step always. So if you tell me to watch a show from between, I'll be very annoyed. I need to watch it from the beginning. And that methodology and structure comes from my mom. She's extremely logical, extremely planned. Like, she's a homemaker, but you see our house and the things, the way they are organized, lunch, dinner, the way she thinks about life in general is extremely realistic and practical. So I'm like a in I feel I'm a blessed and a very good blend of both my parents in that sense. And then I think I have and I have a younger brother who's like 6 years younger than me. So early childhood, I have been taking a lot of care from him. Been taking care of him because he was like 6 months younger, 6 years younger, sorry. And now we work together. So now it's a different dynamics. He comes from a different background. But then again, a very important factor in shaping my early childhood, where you learn to kind of be responsible early when you have a sibling who is like 6 months, 6 years, sorry, younger than you. I don't know why I'm saying 6 months again and again. Maybe I want to believe that for some
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I suppose when you were a kid, what did you want to do?
So when I was a kid, so my first thing is I wanted to be an actor or a dancer, to be very honest.
Bollywood
I
actor, you're in the right
Bollywood
place.
actor or a dancer. That was my dream situation. Even today, if you tell me there is a role in acting, would you do it voluntarily? I would do it. Free of
Anything is
cost.
possible, Saloni.
Anything is possible. I am open to that. But that was my first childhood thing, that I wanted to do some theater or some movies. But I think as I grew up, obviously I took a different career path altogether, and that was also driven by, again, a lot to do with my family values, right? So we come from a very conservative family. At least we were when I was extremely teenager. Now, obviously, things have progressed, and people have like family have become more progressive when it comes to a girl child. But my mother did not want me to leave the house early or stay in a hostel. She wanted, so till I was 25, 26, I was with my mother, with my parents. And the career choices were a lot to do with a woman's dignity, a woman's safety, and all those factors, right? If it were left to me, I don't know what I would be doing. So yeah, so my life shaped in a way that my family was, to be honest.
So, what was your dad? Was he in business?
So my dad, basically by qualification, was a chartered accountant. He
Okay.
practiced for a couple of years. Then he moved into stockbroking. So he built one of the first stockbroking companies in India, which happened to get listed on NSE BSE. He grew it to 200 branches, exited in 2004, ventured into investment banking, and 2013 is when I joined investment banking.
So, initially joined your father's business.
Yes. So my career-wise, my journey is that I joined in 2013. I joined my father's business, which was into investment banking. So I was primarily working for microfinance companies to raise debt. So microfinance companies basically give smaller ticket size loans to women-led businesses, and even like in rural India. So these are loans as small as $20 per person. So
Oh.
they need a lot of funding. So that's where I was working for a good 1.5 year. Then I moved to L&T Finance, where I was heading the credit for the northern part of India. Then I moved to eValue Serve, where I was doing equity research. And in 2017, I came back to my dad's business, and that's where I am now.
How important do you think that time away from your family business was in shaping like when you came back?
So it was extremely interesting because I also left the city at that point. So I was alone, I was by myself in a different city in Delhi, and I was working in an organization. And Delhi, Bombay, the cultural difference is huge. I mean, even though it's the same country, people are very, very different, especially in an organization when you're in your 25 sort of an age, right? You have friends who are everybody is young, everybody is like not very, very focused and practical, does not have family, relaxed. So I think it shaped me in a way that it made me more cooler, to put it. Like I became more freer as a person, more experimentative, and also started to think a lot, in terms of how other people live, how they behave. It's like I came out of my bubble in some
Mm.
sense, and I also started to um, kind of grow as a person. I if you ask my friends on pre-Delhi Saloni and some of my closest friends, maybe my parents won't see that because they know one side of me, but they will tell me that Saloni, you have become less judgmental, more open to newer things, and grown as a person.
And do you think that was really important into kind of breaking free of that kind of conservative upbringing that you had and kind of forging
Absolutely.
your own path?
Absolutely. It was a huge I've experimented so many things, I've met new people, done random planning, and a lot of freedom in some sense. Although it was not that I was in a cage or something, but it's just mental freedom where nobody's calling you, nobody's asking you where you are, your whereabouts, and that's what you decide what kind of a person you are, what choices you make,
Hmm.
because then it's you who is making those choices. And that actually defined right and wrong for me in a different way, which was different from maybe how my parents brought me up. So now
Yeah.
I have my own right and wrong, and I have my own lines in life which I want to decide rather cross or not cross in general.
Awesome. Saloni, tell us a little bit about Sun Icon Ventures. What exactly you guys do?
So, Jam Sun Icon Ventures, initially we started this firm in 2018. We started with a vision to kind of primarily get entry into the startup ecosystem in India. So, just before I talk about Sun Icon, I'll spend a minute maybe.
Sure,
Startup
please.
ecosystem in India started in late 2013.
Hmm.
It picked up in 2015, and 2018 is when we said that. So we've always been investors, right? As a family, we've
Yeah.
invested in SME companies, larger companies, listed companies. So as an asset class, we wanted to explore startup investment, and we thought that the best way to do it would be to make it a part of our advisory practice, where we start advising startups. So we start to understand their problems, their journey, their ups and downs. We invest a small amount in them. And we also had a huge network of people because we have been in investing since 99 now. So, and maybe get the right people to invest in those startups, not just anybody, so that they can really add value. So our genesis of starting Sun Icon was to mix the old economy with the new upcoming economy, which we saw is going to come in the next 10, 15 years. We did that from 2018 to almost mid 2022. We worked with more than 15 companies, not just as an investor, but also getting them the right investors, advising them, going on their board, all of that. And that same time, we also had an exit from Sun Global, which is my father's London business into wealth management. And we decided that with that capital, we wanted to build a startup fund in India, because that's what we saw was the future for the next 20,
Hmm.
30 years, where growth is. We felt that listed is saturated. Everything else is saturated and far more competitive to start. And I personally didn't want to continue with investment banking. I wanted to see the other side. So that's how in 2022 we kind of took a registration from SEBI, which is a body in India, where we decided to launch our first fund. Thankfully, we had the corpus to sponsor it. So we sponsored our fund. We raised from LPs who were in our network, whom we knew, and we just kickstarted the fund. So Sun Icon Ventures is now an early stage startup fund. We invest in technology driven early stage companies, We typically come in early, so it could be seed, pre-revenue. Most of our companies are seed and pre-revenue when we enter. Some cases we also do revenue-led companies where we feel that there's a lot more to be yet done, or we really like the founder and all of
Hmm.
that. So we are pretty flexible that way. But primarily by Genesis, we are an early stage tech fund.
Mm.
And is there a particular industry or niche that you focus on, or are you guys agnostic?
So, as thesis, again, we're agnostic, but we have in this current fund, we have close to 12 portfolio companies now. We have across agri-tech, climate tech, and we have done one company which is into credential storage and verification because we saw that to be a big problem in India, people faking identities and so on and so forth. So, a tech company in that space. Then we have done three biotech. So we've done edutech. So as a broader thesis, we are from an India perspective, since we only invest in India today, we are extremely bullish on agri-tech, biotech, edutech, and this entire gig economy and credential space, because it's booming like nothing and it has to have a structure, is what we feel.
Saloni, as an investor, what are you actually looking when you're investing in something?
Great question. I was just working on my next funds deck yesterday, so given thought. Yeah. So primarily, first thing for us, we come in very early, Jam. So we come
Yeah.
in when so first and foremost is, do we believe in the idea or not?
Hmm.
If it's so we are an idea driven fund as such. So for numbers and all those things do not play a big role when we invest. We do a lot of study as to why this idea, how will you execute it, what will be the impact of the idea, is there a demand, how is the competition. So a lot of work goes around the idea and our conviction. Second, of course, are we backing the right team to build it? There has been many a times where we have liked an idea but not liked a team, and then after 1 year we've invested in the same idea but with some other
Hmm.
team.
Hmm.
So because it's at least a 7 to 10 years journey for us with that
Hmm.
person. We go on their board, we talk to them on a weekly basis. So as a human, you really need to connect with that person. Otherwise, you cannot. It's like being a small. It's like handling multiple businesses, right?
Hmm.
And you have to like all your CEOs to kind of work with them. So these two are the main drivers. The third driver for us is how much value we can add in the business beyond capital.
Hmm.
So there could be now that we've had a lot of exposure to agri-tech, biotech. We know the entire ecosystem in India. We know the right people, we know the problems, we know what wrong can happen after 2 years, right? So then can wherever we can add value, those become more interesting to us. We know a lot of people in India who are in manufacturing, who are in trading, import, export. And when we say any good tech company which can marry very well with any of the industries whom we are closely connected to, it just becomes an easy investment for us in that sense.
Mm. Are you doing this with your father?
I am doing this with my father and with my brother. So my
Amazing.
brother, yes, my father is more like a leader. He's doing multiple other things also. But me and my brother do this full time. We manage the fund.
Oh, that's amazing. So how do you like? I mean, this is really interesting because Dylan and I talked about similar kind of a thing, like what we wanted to do one day. I mean, we are way behind. Maybe we need to get some advice on you, um, because this is a very interesting thing, right? Because you can see a lot of great ideas coming in, and you are
Absolutely.
so passionate about these ideas, and then you want to help them to grow, right? So you
Absolutely.
mentioned when you start, when you identify a great idea, you're investing in them, and then your life cycle, it's about 10 years. You walk with them, you work together, and then what's the plan? You're going to exit, or I mean, still early days, I guess, most of your investments.
See, we are at the end of the day an LP driven fund, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a pure family office where it's our money and we can decide which company we want to exit. Our vision is to grow the fund. Our vision is to raise multiple funds. And this is just the beginning. It's like a drop in the ocean for us, the amount of corpus we are managing and the kind of impact we are able to create in the
Yeah.
Indian ecosystem. So we have to have an exit plan. Investors want their money back and then they might reinvest in our fund again.
Hmm.
But also it's the life cycle, right? Like if only if I exit will a next fund be able to come.
Yeah.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
after a point of time, if a Series B or Series C investor has to come, I have to exit, and I stick to my core. My core is working with early stage companies, right? So if I'm still working with them after 10 years when they're a matured company, my skill sets are not needed, my corpus is insignificant, my stake is insignificant. So maybe it's just best to exit and
Mhm.
find more companies who actually need your ecosystem and your help.
And I want to go to like the Indian startup ecosystem. Uh, what is the state of play in India at the moment? Like I know it's becoming a hub of innovation, but from the inside, can you give us a bit more?
So from the inside, since we are talking to the global audience, startup ecosystem in India, like I said, like any other thing happening in a developing country, is highly influenced by the West, right? So our first set of funds were the Matrix, the Sequoias of the world, who came and who opened their funds in India. And I think what I strongly believe is that they tried to copy paste the US Silicon Valley model, and they picked up ideas also which resonated, like an Uber for India, like a DoorDash for India, all of that.
Yeah.
And and some of them did really well, but unfortunately, most of them did not, because India is not a, even though people say India is a consumer led economy and all of that, it's still not a, it's still, most 90% of the India is still on its basics, right?
Mhm.
Like they don't have the luxury to actually spend beyond basics, and hence it's not a very consumer led economy, and consumer is very easy to understand. So most of the funds that sort of come in, actually it's easy to invest in consumer. It's quick revenues, quick, you need a lot of money, so your fund valuation grows, your companies. Tech on the other hand is difficult. Our ecosystem has to be ready to do tech innovation. So I think now we are at a beautiful stage, in my opinion, as a country, because a lot of fund managers who took the cut copy paste approach have exited the country. And now if you see the new age fund managers like ours, they understand the Indian landscape, they understand how to deal with Indian founders, they understand what can happen and what cannot happen in India. And now, in the last 2 years, we've seen a lot of government initiatives to build that entire ecosystem to do tech developments. So, we have n number of incubators. If you are doing something in biotech, if you were doing it 5 years back, you didn't have facilities, you did not have labs, you did not have access to human trials, animal trials, all of that. Today, you have the entire ecosystem. You just have to do your core, which is innovation. So that is where India is today, right? And that is in space tech, that is in biotech. So all these are deep tech companies. Or this is not like a consumer where you make a product and sell it, right? That ecosystem is just started to shape up. So if I see 10 years ahead from here, a lot more deep tech, or deep tech maybe is too deep a word and lacks definition sometimes, but good impact building technologies will come from India, because I see founders and meet them. They are in their 30s and 40s, and who are quitting and starting something, and
Mm.
that ecosystem is supporting them, and that's leading to that change. So I still feel we are just at that inflection point, and we will take up from here now. And it's also, I believe, a great timing for Sun Icon, because early bad is done, and we are at a time where we get good companies, good valuations, all of that.
Yeah.
Mm.
And what is the access to capital like in India at the moment? Is there a lot of capital floating around for founders to access, or is it still kind of they have to go out searching?
See, India today, if you see, there are a lot of funds, and most people will tell you there is enough capital, okay, which is the truth. But the problem is the people who understand technology and can bet the right technology and right founders are very less. So most of the people who have started non-consumer tech funds also are not from that super solid tech connection or background, I would say. They are also investing on the founder conviction. They are investing on the macro trend, whether this technology is needed or not. We still lack the under we still lack the resources to understand if a founder has built a POC, or if he has built a white paper, how much depth is there in that white paper, and does it make sense or not? that skill set will come only when people who have studied technology at depth become fund managers or become a part of the analyst team or the associate team, which is also happening, but it is still at a very early stage. So still I feel a lot of superficial investments happen in India, where there is a macro trend which is supporting, but soon there will be micro trends also which will, or micro facts which will support the macro trend, and that is something which will be interesting to see.
Mm.
And I suppose on that point, if founders, have a choice between capital partners now, because there's a lot of capital in India, what, why should they come to you?
That's a great question. So see, there are three kinds of founders, okay? One who are chasing fundraising, the second one is who is really wants to create an impactful business and is looking for patient capital, and not pushing him or her to fundraise when not required. So, and then there is also a third kind of founder who is somewhat a balance, but and we are still a new fund in India. There are many
Mhm.
funds who are bigger and better, more name, more success stories, so obviously they become the first choice. But I think a lot of comfort comes from our team is what I feel, because it's like, we are a young team at the end of the
Mhm.
day. Like I said, my brother is 6 years younger than me. He is from hardcore tech background. I'm also relatively young, and I'm a hardcore from a business and finance background. And you see, most of the fund managers in India, they are 50 plus in age,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? We understand their problems better. They feel more comfortable talking to us. They just pick up the phone and call us. They don't feel the need to book the calendar, take an appointment. They are more open into discussing their problems. So they feel that, oh, I want to have Sun Hiken, not because they have a great network and they can add a lot of value because of their history, but these fund managers can go a long way with advising me right. And also, we come across as a very family run fund, right, in some sense. So we are not like, it just comes across that, oh, they are not just chasing valuation, they really want us to grow and create an impact, because money is not the only driver for them, and it just comes across that way when we meet founders, I feel. So that also attracts a lot of interest in investing in us. And all said and done, there are many startups in India, and there are very few teams who can recognize these startups at early stages. So, sometimes we can take 6 months to recognize a startup, and still we will get a chance to invest in them. It's not like a rat race in every
Yep.
case. So,
Mhm. So Saloni, it used to be in India, Sri Lanka, all that region, all the entrepreneurship actually used to come from men. Have Have you seen that it's actually changing right now in India?
we have seen that changing a lot, to be honest, in the last couple of years. We have had great women-led entrepreneurs in the consumer space, and if you see, there are many stories. Nykaa, which is one of our marketplaces for cosmetics, is built by a women-led entrepreneur, and many more. We have women fund managers. But what I'm seeing interestingly, is in the last 1.5 year, a lot of tech-led women entrepreneurs are coming, which are still very, very handful. You will see
Mhm.
more in lifestyle and consumer, I see in biotech a lot of women coming for some reason. That is a space tech, I still don't see. Agri tech, also I don't see on. So wherever there's a lot of on ground work, I still don't see many women entrepreneurs coming. But in spaces like biotech, medicine tech, nutraceuticals, I see a lot of women coming. Education, I think women understand education better, is one of my
Mhm.
beliefs.
Oh yeah.
They are able to, it's especially when it's the K-12 education, they are able to understand the problems, the needs, the curriculum better, at least in India, because they are the ones who spend so much time with kids and nurturing them. That's how just India is. So we see a
Mm.
lot of good education-led women entrepreneurs also coming in India.
Mm.
And speaking about kind of like industries, a lot of the industries that you spoke about that your fund invests in is kind of impact driven
Yes.
industries, ag tech and climate tech. Where's your stance on kind of the importance of impact versus kind of financial returns?
See, definitely financial return is important. There are a lot of impact companies which are building impact stories but are not financially viable, right? And we see that every day. Like, for example, there are a lot of companies building sustainable construction material. So they build bricks, they build like all those things. But pricing wise, it doesn't make sense. There is no
Mhm.
motivation for a builder to actually buy those. So, however impactful it is, I as a fund will not invest in it because I have a separate social arm and I have a separate business arm, and this is my business arm. But our conscious effort is to invest in companies which make complete commercial and financial sense, but still come with a positive impact. So I am not going ahead and investing in a pesticide company which might increase my yield but I know is bad for the farmers. I'm
Mhm.
not investing in an upcoming beverage brand because I don't see any impact. There are enough and more beverage brands out there, alcohol led beverage brands out there. So it's just it's a conscious effort to see that our companies create some positive impact, but that is not the primary thesis driving the fund.
And do you have any success stories from any of your portfolio companies?
Multiple in terms of growth and even in terms of exits, multiple. So there's a I think there's an hospitality company which we exited, and we've made more than in X terms more than 50x return. There's a
Wow.
pharma company which we exited, which is into API led drugs. There we've and all these companies are partially exited by us. So there we have made like more than 100x returns, and again
Wow.
these are all partially exited, right? Then
Yeah.
there are some companies where we've made an we've made like 4 5x return, but they've turned out to be great stories. Like uh, we've invested in hardcore innovation at a complete idea stage. The product came out well. It was an AR VR headset, but they couldn't face the competition with your Google and Magic Leap and all these companies in the US. But still now they're getting acquired by one of the startups in India. And the good part to see is that I know for the fact that they're going to grow. Even though I didn't make that 40x return, I made a simple 24-25% IRR. I backed a good founder. I made a good return.
Mhm.
24% IRR is not a bad return. And the company is going to grow. They've reached a scale where they're going to be acquired by a large giant, and the story doesn't die down.
Yeah.
So these investments are also extremely successful for me, honestly.
Mm. And you mentioned their partial exit. How do you determine when it's right for you to fully exit or keep a stake in the business and
See,
partially?
honestly, with our family wealth, like we always partially exit and
Yeah.
be a part of the story. Because these are all companies we invested like 10 years back. Okay, so we
Yeah.
have this amazing rapport with the founders, all of that. They're constantly it's a very family sort of a relationship.
Hmm.
I'm not saying we will be able to do this with every company in our funds portfolio, but at least with family, it's family
Mm.
investments. That's how it is. So, fully exit comes at a stage for more for us when we are not updated on what is happening with the company. When we lose that touch point, when the company becomes so big that they do not have the bandwidth to keep us in loop, we are not adding any value, and we are not sure whether internally the company is doing good or not,
Yeah.
right? We just never go on numbers. There are a lot of inner narrations and talks which we have on a daily basis. So when we lose our grip on the company, when then it's time that we should exit and then spend our times and money somewhere else because there's limited money also, right? In that
Hmm.
sense.
Mm.
And we've spoken, a lot about kind of the industries that you're in. But one of the big trends that I've observed in kind of the startup world is a lot of funds are pushing towards AI. Like I
Yes,
remember speaking
so
with a
are we.
VC and who was basically told me if my idea didn't have AI in it, then it wasn't worth like the conversation. So I want to get your take and understand kind of your viewpoint
So
on
there
the
is
impact that
there
AI is
is
going to have.
there is a lot of AI, okay? Like tomorrow I'm going to Bangalore and I'm meeting five companies. I won't take their name, but it is dash.ai. Every
Everything is AI.
company, it's like jam.ai, saloni.ai, dylan.ai. Everybody's just adding .ai, and but then I think the most important thing in AI is, as how we look at it, there are these two, three foundational models, right? Which are available to everyone today. It could be
Yeah.
ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google, whatever. And then it is actually very easy to build something on it. and building 80% of your app or use case is a 10% timing and effort, but getting that perfection to last 20% is the balance 90% of your work. So we are extremely careful on the companies we are investing, because we get like 100 companies on a quarterly basis with .ai, but we know that anyone can build this in the next 2 months.
Yeah.
So then there is no entry barrier, there is no competitive edge, you're not from the industry. We have invested in one Gen AI company where we really felt that effort has been taken to build on a foundation model to solve one particular use case. So there's something called as vertical AI and horizontal AI. So all so there are a lot of big companies building chatbots and HR tech, and these are all horizontal AIs. We are trying and looking for companies in the vertical AI space where they're picking up extremely niche one sector, one problem, and genuinely building an AI product which thinks like a human, which acts like a human, and is not just a machine learning model out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Saloni, as a female business leader, do you face any unique challenges?
See, I am actually I personally don't, because I think I have my own venture. I'm not working for someone else. B, I am also in a very secured environment. I work with my father, my brother, and
Hmm.
the rest of the people also in Sun Capital in my office have been there from the time. I have people who have been there from the time I was born. So these are
Yeah.
old people. So I personally don't face so much problem. All all the founders, barring I think three of my portfolio companies are male founders, right? And even in my other portfolio companies where there are female founders, there's a co-founder which is a male. So it's a very heavily male-led
Yeah.
economy in that sense. But again, I personally have never faced any discomfort or any issue where I think it's been very comfortable, very supportive, no barriers as such that I cannot work with them or I cannot deal with them. All my investors, LPs are males, but again, super comfortable. So it's very difficult for me to relate with those problems which a female might have to go through in building the fund journey, because uh, I just think that I am very supported that way from all
Yeah.
directions.
I mean, you're blessed to have your
I'm
father.
blessed.
Your yeah,
Yeah,
but
and obviously to add, I have a husband who is extremely supportive. He's also very chilled. So it's just, there is no financial stress also, right? There's no fear of doing wrong, to be very honest. If you do wrong, you have this three, four men and your mother, everybody like supporting you and there for you. So no
yeah,
stress.
but that's you're the lucky one. But I'm sure there are other female founders going through some struggles, right? Do you see any struggles, or it's
I
actually
honestly
improving?
talk to these female founders, and I see, when you're a founder, A, you need to do your business.
Yeah.
B, you need to raise funds. And every fund man, there are so many, like every fund man, I don't see any problem. Actually, I'm not able to
Okay.
think what can be that problem where people are looking. And gone are the days where a woman entrepreneur will not get funding because she might get married, she might be have
Mhm.
children, she might not be able to. All those are gone days. People now, there have been enough and more examples where women have proved what a fund manager or anybody in fact who is planning to associate with a startup is judging is your passion and capability to do it, not that there are other barriers for you as a woman which might stop you. I don't think that way, honestly.
Well, that's great to see that India is moving forward, right?
Absolutely. I think I see more respect for women in
Hmm.
India than many other countries today. And I don't want to name any of the countries or
Yeah.
any instances. But I've traveled the world, I've met people from the world, and we've interacted, jam, and I feel that our males are actually today more supportive and more respecting to the kind of work we are doing.
Mm.
At least this is the trend in upper middle class and middle class, and I mean I've not seen how the lower middle class in India treats, but everybody is working, like all our house helps, they are all women, all of them have been working for generations honestly. So
Mm,
there must be few handful instances where there would be problems, but at least we don't see it on a daily basis.
that's great to know. Yeah.
And what sort of role do you think startups have on bringing a country like India like to the forefront of innovation and like bringing it out of, it used to be a developing country and now it's booming. So what role do you think kind of startups and business plays in that?
See, it's just that Indians have always been very hardworking. That's
Mm.
that's kind of in our DNA, you know. We are extremely disciplined people in general. We are extremely hardworking as a country, and it's just that we didn't have that support and that security. If a founder is starting something, he needs a lot of financial support, family support, all of that. And we did not have that. If you see business houses in India, generation by generation, they are growing. We have the Tatas, the Ambanis, the Adanis, and these are just top three. We have many more, right? So where there is wealth comfort, then it is easier to build something. And now that comfort is come with funds like us and with government support and all of that was not there 5 7 years back. And hence it is very difficult to innovate when there is no support and nothing. It's easier. There are so many startup founders who have gone and innovated in US, right? Why? Because of the support. So that is what is changing, and we already see that happening. We already see a lot of founders coming and choosing to build in India, and that is because of, even though the ease of doing business from a statutory and tax point of view today is not that great if you compare it
Mm-hmm.
with other countries, but at least from a resource and funding point of view it is good. One of the biggest element to doing a good business is having the right kind of resource, and that is available in India today.
Yeah, Saloni, you mentioned about the values, right? You mentioned you had a lot of values coming from your family background. You know, what can you share some of these things with us?
So when I joined, when I started Sun Icon, you know, one thing my dad had told me that, like, just stick to your integrity and truth. Like, you are doing this to create something meaningful. You're doing this, we are doing this rather to create an empire which is built on the right thesis, right? Like, we support good companies, clean, neat business, and all of that. And so that was the only thing he told me when we started Sun Icon. He didn't tell me like how do we find a company or no SOP. The only thing is we do the right thing and rest will follow,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I've seen that like I've never seen any of my parents or grandfathers or anyone jam, to be honest, to fight with anyone, to kind of cheat anyone, to be, it's just a very family led thing for us, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, both my grandparents were very religious, going to the temple, doing a lot of charity in whichever way they can, taking care of animals. Like, we are
Mm-hmm.
vegetarian by birth, right? So there is a lot of and the way we behave with people, if we don't like something, we will let that person go, but we will not get in that revenge mode. That is just like, I don't want to take revenge from you. We are not getting along, you please leave and I will continue with my work. And I had to bear a bare minimum loss because of you, which is fine, but I will still save my time and energy. So that is the whole guiding principle, you know, that you, all you have is your energy and your time, and make the best of it. Like, don't be dependent on other people's time, other people's wealth, other people's energy, all of that. So it is a lot to do with just upbringing overall. I think, you know, just like, live for yourself. Like they say in Hindi, it is a very famous line, it's called jio or jeene do. Like, live and let live, you know. So that's
Okay,
the,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I want to understand what pushed you to go to do OPM at HBS.
So I this is extremely, so this OPM happened on the moment where we decided to launch a fund, but we had
Mm-hmm.
not, we had just did a soft launch, we were still raising. So OPM happened at a time, and I don't have any, so my background is I'm a chartered accountant by
Mm-hmm.
qualification, right? So I don't have any management background as such. And what I primarily wanted was two things. I wanted some management education, and I also wanted a global network, to be honest. Like, I just know people. And before OPM, I just knew people in India, people whom I had worked with, or people who were associated with my father, and stuff like that. But this was again trying something new, trying something out of the box, meeting people from so many nationalities, seeing the way they think, seeing the way they eat, seeing the way they talk, the way they do business. It's a learning in itself. I mean, once you experience it, you will know it just opens your mind, it opens the way you think. And it 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 also, like HBS OPM, honestly, I realized that everybody who is far more successful, far more accomplished than me, also is chasing for inner peace, right? And family, and that bond, and that human. And it's just an amazing experience to see how humans from different countries are all at the end of the day craving for the same thing, that's in that way. But I primarily did it for the education, for the whole Harvard experience. There is a whole awe about it, when you're in the campus, and it's just a great experience altogether. And the child in me just wanted to do it for that, that to go stay in the campus, see how it feels, and whatever comes with it is learning at the end of the day.
Mm. So you mentioned inner peace, right? And I also know you're very ambitious as well. How do you balance the inner peace with ambition?
No, so I've just disclaimer. I've just started practicing pranayam yoga from last 1.5 month, and but that is just because I read a book on breath work and I realized how important it is. But it's just been 1 month. I started in March, and it's brought a lot of peace to me. Not that I was very very restless or anxious or anything like that,
Mm-mm.
but it's just a kind of if you do it first thing in the morning, I think it just brings you together, in a way. And I've seen my father do pranayam, I've seen my mother, but I just never got it. I was like, might as well run and sweat it out. What is this breathing in, breathing out? What is it achieving as, like? But when I started doing it, and since I've been doing it for the last 2 months, and I just feel different, and it's very difficult to explain, honestly. And there's just something I would really urge everybody who's listening to me to just try. It is extremely simple, but it is extremely effective. And honestly, from a peace perspective, I think there are days where there is a little bit of work stress, but apart from that, I don't have any other stress. So it's my life in general is extremely peaceful. Sometimes, a founder doesn't perform well, or there's an investor who is not talking properly. These are minor stresses I have in life, like, which is a part and parcel of the business. It's even wrong to call it stress, I feel.
Hmm.
But
It's
but
part of the yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's part and parcel of
yeah.
work, right? But then I'm very that way. I think I have people to go and vent out to, people to go and talk to. And one of my biggest just a rewinding and cutting off is talking to my mother. So I talk to my mother every day, especially when I'm going from work to office and other way around. And she is the only person who talks the most relaxed things to me, like very general. No targets, no goals, no agendas. What will happen if this will happen? Nothing. Like, she's like, it just de-stresses me, I feel. She's like, no politics, no macroeconomics, no ambition, nothing. Just relax, one girl to girl talk, like.
Amazing. Or go shopping with her.
Or go shopping with her, or just talk about new trends and clothes.
That's
She'll be like,
it.
oh, I
Yeah.
saw this Instagram, this is the it's just awesome.
Yeah.
It brings me a lot of happiness, honestly.
It's important to have someone like
Oh,
that in your life.
absolutely.
And I suppose, speaking about impact, do you ever kind of look back and think the impact that you're having? You're changing people's lives at the end of the day by providing them with the capital to go on, achieve their dream, and change the world.
Yeah, I mean, see, we are still very early, to be honest. This is just the first fund, If I think there is a lot more. It's just the beginning of our venture journey. So we have added impact to 20 founders. We want to do it with 200, 2,000 founders and way to go, right? And now, up till now, I've not got the time to think about the impact. Now I'm
Yeah.
just thinking about finding the right companies, making sure my systems, processes, everything is in place, and just learning new things every day. The world is changing so fast. Like today I'm reading on gene therapy, tomorrow I'm reading on some other AI thing. So there is no time to think about the larger impact, and not even your founders realize it, because founders are also struggling. I think that time will come after 20 years when they will
Yeah.
become successful, and then they will reflect on what all happened, and so will I, and maybe then it will hit that, oh, we have created so much impact.
Mm.
And I suppose if you could pinpoint one lesson that you've had from starting a fund, what would it be?
I think don't get carried away by trends, because I have had one unsuccessful investment, and that was purely because I chased a trend which was going, and trends don't last always, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you do your, other than the trend, you do your deep work, you build your conviction, and just now AI is the trend. 2 years, 3 years back, blockchain was a trend. Before that, Web3 was a trend, and so on and so forth, right? But you have to just don't chase trend. I think back good businesses who you think can build good businesses is one key learning from a very small failure I have had in the last 2.5 years.
Mm. So, Saloni, along the journey, do you had any mentors or someone that you look up to?
So as we speak today, I think my father is a big
Yeah.
mentor. I look up to how he has shaped his life, how he has built his life, both on the personal and professional fund side. He has given us a lot of time. He's brought us up really well. He's given a lot of love and affection to my mother, to my grandparents, and I really respect him for that. And at the same side, he had a struggling career. He had to build it from scratch. He didn't have the support and the comfort which we have today, and still he has achieved and made it big. So I think he's a great role model for me to look up to, in that sense. He's a life mentor for me, in all ways. He's a lot of things I cannot do which he does, but I think whatever I can and whatever I enjoy, I choose to do.
Yeah. So awesome. Saloni, I know you, very first thing you told us, you're a big dreamer, right?
Yes,
You
yes.
dream like, amazing things that you may not even achieve. What's the latest dream that what's your really what you're dreaming of? I mean, I would have asked that question in a different way. What's your vision for your business? But I wanted to ask you in a more of a dream. How do you see yourself?
I'm at an age in life where I have a lovely husband, I have a lovely family, I'm in a beautiful relationship. I definitely dream of taking that relationship ahead in terms of, having a family. And of late, a lot of my dreams are about being this multitasker woman with like 8, 10 hands, who's running a successful fund, who's spending a lot of time traveling the world and having a family, doing it all sort of a situation. And so that's like maybe the next 4, 5 years to me. I've also started focusing a lot on my health, and so I dream about being extremely fit, and being able to run a marathon and all of that. I think my dreams are more driven by what I'm trying to improve in me and do on a daily basis.
Yeah, yeah,
At least that's the situation today.
yeah.
And I suppose if you were to leave a message to young founders coming up, what would you say to them?
Well, I would, if you are yet to start, if you have not started, I think one thing I would say is having the right kind of team is extremely important. So spend a lot of time on finding that right co-founder or right people who are going to build with you and who are going to stick with you, and home, it's more difficult than even a marriage, is what I feel, because you go through so many ups and downs with each other, and there are so many, differences of opinions and all of that. So please spend some time in building that right founding team. I mean, obviously you will be bullish on your idea and stuff like that, but you have to execute it, and it's an extremely long journey. So if you have
Mm-hmm.
not started, like we were also taught in Harvard, right? If you've made a business without systems, processes, any of it, and then suddenly after 10-15 years it's very difficult to implement something. So build, so if you're starting now, have the right team, have the right structured approach, have things in place, don't let loose on your numbers, have a basic sense of where you are spending. I come across a lot of founders who just run out of cash. I
Mhm.
mean, how can you run out of cash? You can see your balance sheet and numbers every day, right? So, and have that openness to meet people. I see this a lot with tech founders. They only want to meet tech people. They only want to
Mm.
meet people whom they see immediate gain with. Just be open to meeting new people and learning from them, and not just directly thinking, oh, what can I get from this person? If you have to be an entrepreneur, you have to be open to meeting new people and being open to the idea of not liking a few things and liking a few things. And that's not waste of time. That is investment of your time.
Absolutely.
Realizing that is also very important.
Mm. So, Saloni, if you want, what's your legacy? How do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as this extremely successful venture capitalist from India who has supported great businesses. All the businesses have done well. Who's lived healthy, traveled the world,
Keep going.
all the good things.
Come on, that's only just a start, right?
It's just a start, and
That's
it's
it.
it's just like for me at least. I mean, I've just started this 1.5 2.5 years back, and before that I was still
Yeah,
figuring out what I want to do, and now finally I have something which I want to build on. Up till before that I was
yeah,
just trying, not continuing, trying. I know I've done multiple things. I've done investment banking, credit analysis, this, that, but I didn't have this one thing which I wanted to build on,
yeah, yeah,
in terms of creating an empire. Now I have that, so I have to
yeah.
make the best of it. First
Absolutely.
is having that idea. Once you have that, then it's all in your hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I suppose looking back on your journey, do you feel successful so far?
So far, yes, I think I'm a very strong person. I have gone through all the ups and downs in my life with a very positive attitude. I try to give my best to people around me also. So even though it's just the beginning, but I think as we speak today on this and this time on this chair, I think I'm successful.
I would definitely agree with you. And, it's been such a wonderful conversation, and we definitely could sit here for hours chatting with you. And I do look forward to eventually one day coming over to India and visiting
Yes,
you in
please, you're
person.
most welcome.
And all your dreams are very, very achievable. And I can see that, you're achieving it in very near future. And yeah.
And I
Yes,
suppose through our conversation, I've been jotting down a few ingredients which I think have been important to your successful journey so far. And I'd like
yes,
to share them with you. The first one is growth mindset. And I think throughout this entire conversation, really what was underpinned to me was you're trying to be the best version of yourself, not worrying about what other people are trying to do, not worrying about what society wants you to do. You're trying to be the best version of what you want for yourself. And I think that's so important because you're not kind of you're not clouded by all of these other judgments and society's pressure. You can just focus on what you actually want to achieve and go all in on that. And I think that's really critical. The next one is you're very family oriented. And I think that's, family got mentioned so many times there. And I think it's a common trait that we're seeing because I think it gives you a good base. You always know that there's people around you who are going to support you no matter what. And I think you even explicitly mentioned that even if this fund doesn't go well, you know that your mum, your husband, and your dad are always going to be there to pick you back up and get you back on the horse. The next one is impact driven. And I think not only in the way that you're investing in kind of impact focused investments, but I think just in your life in general, you're always trying to do things to progress and kind of leave this world a better place than how you found it. And the last one is values driven. I think you always you talk about you focus on the things that you can control, and that's a very kind of stoic philosophy of internalizing things and just focusing on what you can actually control because ultimately the rest of the stuff is out of your control and there's no point wasting your time on it. It's better off investing the time into what you can actually control. And I think that's my kind of key takeaways from today's.
And I got few to add, knowing Saloni as well. I mean, her personality, your personality, Saloni, and you're very bubbly person, very positive mindset. I think you take any challenge in a very positive way, and especially like you stop hardly like you're always smiling, right? And then that's really infectious. Like we're all smiling together, right? So that you create that
Yes.
environment, very very positive environment that really lets you, whether you're going through a challenging moment or a any other moment, create a really positive environment, so that leads you to your success as well.
Thank
And
you. Thank you
thank
so
you so
much.
much for joining us. And it's an awesome conversation. I didn't even realize that we spent almost an hour. Um,
Yeah, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you
and
so much.
it was a pleasure
Lovely
having you.
talking to you. And start something together. I'm sure you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those listening, if you
Yes.
found today's episode insightful, it would be wonderful if you could go over and like and follow us on whichever platform you're listening to this on right now. And you can see all of our inspirational content over on our website, thequestforsuccesspodcast.com. And with that, we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening.